Are you searching for the best in online black radio? Then go to blacktalkradionetwork.com, helping you filter through the noise. Real talk, black talk.
All right, Mr. Fuller, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. The black female, she's right here. BMore, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. I was telling Mr. Fuller about you had a job situation. If you want to give him some of the details, and then he can share his view.
Okay. Well, I got employed at this job on June the 21st of 2011. And since I've been starting there, about 2 months into my employment, there's been several racial comments made and things like that. I've tried to contact human resources as well as the regional director, the East Regional Director. I work at a child care facility, by the way. On May 25th, I was in another classroom, and a child brought some papers into the classroom. Well, naturally, when anyone places papers in my hands, I glanced at it. When I glanced at it, I saw my name, and it caused me to look further. When I looked further, they fraudulently had me listed as a lead teacher of an NC pre-K classroom. That's like a 4-year-old More 4 Head Start program. I am not the More 4 teacher, and it said on the same paper that there are 6 children on roll, and monthly they get $450 per child. So basically, I asked them about it, and they said, oh, that was a mistake. You're not qualified. So from that point on, I'm like, okay, y'all are sitting here handing out these surveys for these parents for this. There's no way there's a mistake. You all are getting money for this. So I contacted NC Pre-K myself just to verify, and they said, yes, you are the lead teacher of that classroom. So at that point, I contacted HR again to let them know they've hired this company called Ethics Point, where you can report any unethical behavior on the job. So I did make documentation through them. I tried to contact several lawyers, but they had me in such a financial bind that I couldn't even afford the initial consultation fee. So since then, since I've reported it, and of course the HR knows, the company has been very defensive. The HR manager did get back to me, and he's like, I'm not sure that's the case, and basically making me out to be a liar. Nothing ever got solved, but since then, they've reduced my hours. I was put on administrative leave, and then now I'm terminated.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's,
yeah, my goodness, right. It never should have gotten that far. You're going to human resources. That's almost like just they send you around in a circle in most places. I don't hardly know what I don't know exactly what to tell you now because you have been terminated. See, everything has just got to be done before termination.
right.
To get
and
back in. Hello?
Sorry. Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, to get back on the job means going through the whole legal process of hiring a lawyer and all like that, and that goes nowhere nowadays. Lawyers just take your money, that's all. They don't even bother to fight these cases. They just stack them up. That's been what I've been hearing. And because it's such a long, drawn-out process. And all I can say is if there's any way that you can get reinstated, it's simply by directing everything that you have to say to maybe the state's attorney. And you would start off by doing that simply by asking for an investigation. Always stay, I call it the 3 I's: inquiry, investigation, indictment. So you never accuse anybody of doing anything, because once you make one accusation, that means you have the burden of proof is on you. And that's why I kind of wish that I talked to you before you ever wrote anything, because you don't want to do a whole lot of writing. That's to start with. I mean, you just want to write just a couple of paragraphs, and this is for the future too. where you ask for an inquiry, rather an investigation. You are making the inquiry. You're saying someone needs to look into this in order to straighten it out. And you do that without making any accusations. That puts somebody else in position to have to make the investigation. If you have to make the investigation yourself, it means you have to do all the work, heavy lifting. That's in any instance. So once you make an accusation, you've got to prove everything that you say, and there's nobody to prove it by. That's where the difficulty comes in. There's absolutely nobody who's going to be on your side. So when you run around trying to get somebody to back you up in proving your accusations, it's most likely not going to happen. So you just ask for an inquiry. You say, these are the circumstances. You can just list them, bullet points or whatever, and then you say, I hereby ask for an inquiry / investigation or something like that into the entire matter on the basis of the 5th and 14th Amendment to the Constitution. That's the way you go. You go the constitutional route. That way, lawyers got something to work with, because lawyers always deal with law. They don't deal with who said what, he said, I said. They don't like any of that at all. They don't hardly even look at nothing like that when they get into the details. They just like to work from, was a law broken of any kind, and they always go that route. But everything that I'm telling you now is hindsight. But if you're going to do any kind of repair job or get back on that job, that would be the way to go. And I would address whatever letter I would make out now to the Attorney General's office of the state that you're in, and just say that you have reason to believe that the 5th and 14th Amendment to the Constitution may have been violated. Meaning what? Due process. Did you go about, 5th Amendment means, did they go about doing it the correct way? And 14th means equal protection of the law. Did the way that you were treated, was that the way that everybody else was treated? But you're just asking for an investigation to find out if that was so. See, and it just takes us, a couple of lines to do that. But you mention the Constitution. The reason I say always mention the Constitution of the United States in anything that you write, because then it can go, some cases have gone away. It's not likely to happen, but it can go all the way to the Supreme Court eventually. If you mention Constitution, you have reason to believe constitutional law was violated. That's the United States Constitution. That covers everybody, everywhere, at all times. They always try to have you write something where you just, he said, I said, I don't think they like me over in Section B or whatever, and I think it might be racism involved. When you write like that, they in this day and time, nothing usually happens. But if you go straight to the jugular, straight to the Constitution of the United States, which means, hey, everybody has sworn to uphold the Constitution of the United States. Even if you haven't done it, you have an obligation to do so. And so lawyers like that kind of talk. Or even administrators. If you go, because you're just asking for two things. An inquiry. In other words, was a law of any kind, some written law or common law, somehow violated? Because if it was, and it was done deliberately, that's a violation of the United States Constitution, which everybody is sworn to uphold. And that's what I've been telling people for years. I've run a few trials on it. Some of them have worked, some of them haven't, simply because of the way that they were handled and the people who were involved in it. But it's the best, and really, in this day and time, with the Obama effect, the only thing that you have. See, I call it the Obama effect because there's a whole lot of white people out here now who are very dissatisfied with Obama even becoming president, but they don't talk about it every day. Most of them don't talk about it at all. But they feel, look at it like their whole world is beginning to crumble. And they're taking it out on whatever black person happens to be in any kind of position around them. They're saying, well, these black people are not going to be getting nothing out of me, no kind of way. I don't care who it is. All these black people, all gloves are off now. That, they're not coming in here and get a job or do anything or tell me what to do about anything or make more money than me. No way that's going to happen. So a lot of black people are not aware of this. Black people are just thinking, well, hey, I'm entitled to it. I mean, I married it and all. No, this is all out gloves off stuff now. But if you mention racism, there's no way that you can prove it nowadays, because you're going to have to prove it by somebody who most likely is a racist. No black person can back you up. That's number one. You got to remember that. In any racial issue, there's no black person who can actually prove the existence of racism. A black person can help you out. But that black person that you're talking to, or that committee of black people, they're going to have to be okayed by somebody who's white. That's just the way the system works. No black person or no group of black people can prove the existence of racism. Can't be done. Not to my knowledge. You always have to have at least one white person who says, yes, I'll sign off on this. That's the setup now. Because otherwise, black people would be saying that there's racism everywhere, and they know that. And so they're not going to allow not one black person to be able to prove racism. Because if they allow one, they'll have to allow 2, 3, a dozen, whatnot. And racism is easy to prove if you go by any black person, because black people experience it all the time, every day, in one form or another. So they figured it out a long time ago. You can't let a black person come around, on their own, proving the existence of racism, because racism does exist in every situation. There's no situation where it doesn't exist. But if you let black people prove it, or accept their word for it, then it'll just be too much proof. The proof will be overwhelming, and all white people will be in trouble. So we can't allow not one of them to do that. It's got to be one of them that can make accusations, but it's going to take a white person to okay that accusation. So the bottom line is you can't go the racial route at all. You can only go the justice route, meaning the Constitution of the United States. And you do it by asking questions, not accusations. You can't make any accusation, because if you make an accusation, they got it set up now where just what you're telling me. Hey, you just accused me of something. So I'm saying I'm not guilty. So you better get you a lawyer. And they wink at each other when they say that, because they know that lawyers are just going to sit there and say, okay, well, in order to file the first papers, bring me $800, then $1,600, and then $5,000, and then 3 years down the road, they haven't even gotten started. And you're just shoveling out money. Now, that's been my observation, my experience going all the way back to the early 1970s. That's when they started doing that. Any kind of so-called civil rights case, just stack it over there to the side and tell them to bring some more money. And when they bring the money, just stack that over there to the side and bring some more money. And then finally, when you say, well, what are you all doing? Well, we're working on it. And that's just the way that's handled, almost everywhere. And it's just a money machine. So you have to do it on your own, and you do it by just asking, hey, for the Attorney General or somebody to look and see if the state law, rule, regulation, whatever, has been violated, and of course, state law comes under federal law, because particularly if you're talking about school systems or something like that, federal law is involved, which means you automatically have constitutional issues there. That's the premise. And like I said, taking that position, I've talked to some people based on what I've told them, which is what I'm telling you now, who have used that, and it's worked. And then some people, it hasn't worked so far, but bottom line is, that's the only thing you got going for you, even at this point. You have to go the constitutional route. And you do that yourself without having a lawyer, because your lawyer is the Constitution of the United States itself. That's your lawyer. You know, people just interpret the law, and apply the law, rather, in each individual case. So all you ask for is for someone to investigate to see if the laws are violated without going into any details. You just say what happened, just like stating the facts. This happened on this day, 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 and, without accusing anybody. So you don't say that, you have reason to believe that, anything has happened pointed to an individual, except maybe the Constitution may have been violated, either accidentally or on purpose, but violation nonetheless. And you ask for someone to investigate. The someone meaning someone in the Justice Department of the state that you're in. That's why it will go to the Attorney General. That's why they call it the Attorney General. Generalized attorney. Do you understand anything that I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Thank you very much. Yes, I'm here.
I know. Now it's not. It doesn't sound heartening and all like that, but what is happening? See, I know it's very disheartening, you might say, because I'm hearing this from all over the world, because they're doing the same thing all over the world, and they're doing it with a smile, and people are walking into it completely blind, because most black people that come out of school now, nobody's telling them that everything is set up to make them fail. Okay? Nobody's telling them this. They go on these jobs and you got your qualifications and all like that, but nobody's telling them, hey, they circled the wagons before you got there. Say, we got this black girl coming in, or this black lady coming in, or this black fella coming in, and everything is tight now. I want my cousin to have that job. My cousin is unemployed. See, the old networks begin to work everywhere. Particularly in this day and time. So the average black person walks into these situations completely unaware of what's going on, and that the setup is being set up even before they get there. When they hear that you're coming, then the plans suddenly start being made, or at least immediately afterwards. Because they're saying, they were doing that back when I was working, and it started in the 1970s. It's never let up. And when you start trying to prove something, they got that all set up too. The human resources, I keep hearing this about human resources in every place. It used to be the EEO, Equal Employment Opportunity Committees, because I used to be on one of them. But now it's human resources. But human resources is set up in everything that I've heard to send you in that circle. They send you right back where you came from and tell you to have them, the same people you're dealing with, to resolve it. That's what I've been hearing from everybody in every state, and even overseas. Would you believe it? I'm talking about France and England, black people calling me and saying the same thing. And they have the same type of thing in the Netherlands, human resources. And it's set up that when you go to them, they listen to your story, they tell you to file some papers, and then they tell you after 7 weeks or something, or 6 months, well, we really can't take any action right now. So I would suggest that you go back to, your agency or the place where you work and try to deal with the people at that level. And they tell you this in a polite way. Now, usually, when people talk to me, they're still on the job, and that's when it's easier. Off the job, I don't know what to do except to tell you to get in touch with the state attorney general. And as briefly as possible, just say what happened, and then bottom line it by saying, there's reason to believe. See, depersonalize it. Say, there's reason to believe that the Constitution of the United States may have been violated in this matter. And parenthesis, 5th, 14th Amendment. Just one statement at the bottom of whatever you present. But definitely put something in there about the U.S. Constitution. Otherwise, it's just, they consider that as just third grade, he said, I said, somebody don't like me type thing. And they don't like to even talk, they don't even like to think about that. And will not deal with it. They even have a cliche saying for it. Say, it sounds like a personal matter to me. Sometimes they literally say that. Oh, you don't really have any case here. There's just a lot of personal squabbling. This is a lot of school ground stuff, recess stuff. We don't deal with it at this level. But if you mention the Constitution, you'll say the Constitution may have been violated. In other words, due process and equal protection of the law, which is guaranteed to every person. That's what it was written for. But hardly anybody ever uses even the mention of the United States Constitution in these cases. But it's really the best thing you can have, in my opinion.
Thank you so much, sir.
Now, if you want to just write up these things and then, in such a way, just go back and say the things briefly without naming any names even. Just state what happened, the state of facts, of what happened that you think has to do with the law, not how anybody feels or any personality conflicts. Don't even get into that. Just state what you think, all of the bullet points, and then, just almost like cold, just state nothing but the facts, like making a police report. And then at the bottom, you put that statement that you have reason to believe that the Constitution may have been violated and that you're asking for an investigation. And that's what you'll be sending to the Attorney General's office. Now, when you get ready to write it, or after you do assemble something, just a couple of sheets of paper at the very most, depends on how many things you have to say that you think is a violation of law. Okay? Just bullet points. And then you can call me back at any time. It's at your convenience. Anytime you think you can get me. I'm in and out a lot. So, do you have my number? Hello?
No, sir, I do not.
Okay. I know it sounds disheartening and all like that, but I'm just saying the best way that you can go at it at this point, in my opinion. You can try it anyway. My number is 202-484-5461.
Thank you, sir.
I know we talked about this matter yesterday on the program. Some people were saying that
I will definitely contact you when I get that written.
All right, then. And like I said, one of the main things you don't want to do is a whole lot of writing. That's a trap that they always put you in, because they'll go through what you write and pick out just one thing and sabotage your whole case based on some technical error that they said that you made. See, so have them do the writing, because that's how they trap themselves. Anything that they say, you want it in writing. None of this standing out in the hall talk. That won't work. Anything that they say to you, you want it in writing. Okay, well, I'll talk later then. Hello?
Oh, yes, sir, I can hear you.
Right.
BMore, did you get the information?
Yes, sir, I did, and I took down his number as well.
Okay. Mr. Fuller, would you go to the media? I was just going to ask that really quick, because some people were saying maybe going to some of the local news outlets to report what happened on the job. That might be helpful. Do you think that might have a constructive result for her in this case?
Well, I do it when they'll give me radio time. I mean, I can't. Yeah, she has some people in the news, I mean, that she can get to. Yeah, she can go that route. But, I don't know anybody who, just every now and then they will invite me to go on the radio. But that's not standard. I've been talking about this for years, okay, when they let me on the radio. But that doesn't mean anything. And you can't, when you go on the radio, you can't mention specific cases, because, see, that's not, that's not the due process. If you go on the radio and start naming names and all like that, some kind of pending case, that will kill your case right there. See, she could probably do it without naming names if she has access to radio or something like that. But she can say what is happening, right? But no woman like myself could do that in a second-hand manner, because the first thing, defense lawyers and all like that would just say, well, hey, you're just going by hearsay. You don't even know the people that you're talking about. You don't know anything about the place, the work situation where the person is and all like that. And how'd you get involved in the first place? You're not a lawyer. You're just talking. You're talking hearsay and spreading propaganda, and could be open to a libel. See, that's the way they'd go with it. See, because basically we're talking law here. And most people, are not involved in law. You just go to a job and just try to do your job. That's all people know. But they don't tell you, see, they're all set up, to go legal route on everything. And it's getting more that way. And they know that they can crucify people going that way, with the back and forth, and with the amount of money that it takes just to get the little bit, least thing done. And they ought to start teaching this in school, but then that wouldn't work for the people who are making all the money off of stuff like this. So they don't even want it in schools. They don't want to tell people, hey, the minute you go on a job, they're setting you up if you're black. That should be the first thing that they tell you. Your first day on there is a setup if it looks like you're heading toward making any money that's decent enough to support yourself. They want all black people back to being maids. $6 an hour. That's where you have to look at it.
Mr. Fuller, do you think that I should get written statements from parents and teachers?
What now?
Do you think that I should get written statements from parents and teachers in my defense?
Oh, written statements?
Yes.
Yes, anything that will help you. Anything that will help your case without making accusations, that is. Stay away from accusations because you want somebody else to make the investigation. See, if you make the accusations, you have to prove it. You have to go into court and you have to get on the witness stand. You have to say, I know this. I'm not guessing. I'm this. And then, and you have to have a lawyer to back it up and all like that and make up the papers. And that's going to cost you a fortune. See, so you're asking for an investigation by by the government, really, of the entire state. That's the way to go. But all the written statements you can get from people, from parents or whomever, I mean, that will help you. Yes, you can get that as and that can be used in the future as evidence of or as reason to believe that something is happening here that shouldn't be happening. See, that's the question. Is something happening here that shouldn't be happening? That's the basic question. According to what? According to law. According to the laws of this institution and laws of this state and the laws of the United States. Is this person being treated justly according to laws? That's going to be the ultimate question. And that's for an investigator to find out. And investigators like that neat, straightforward approach. Was any law, just one, any law, anywhere in the case that you are putting forward, was any law violated at any time? And if it was, we'll find out who violated that law. And that's when you get into the indictment thing. But you don't make an indictment and you don't make an investigation. You just ask for an inquiry. An inquiry means you want someone to look into it to see if it warrants an investigation. And it will warrant an investigation if there's reason to believe that the law was violated. Any law, out of all the hundreds, any one of them, any one of the so-called rules, regulations, memorandums of the institution that you work for, did anybody, either directly or indirectly, voluntarily or involuntarily, violate a law? Any law. That calls for an investigation. An investigation into what? Who did what? See, so you don't make any accusations at all. You just sit back and wait for someone to investigate and find out who did what. Did you do this? Did you say this? Did on this date you did this, and this? Okay, well, if you did this, and this, according to the law, these were things that should not have been done. That's the way the investigation proceeds, which means, madam or sir, we have reason to believe that a violation was made, and we'll investigate on that basis. And from that, if it was done willingly, somebody is going to get indicted. But here again, the important thing for you to remember, you don't make the accusation, because if you make an accusation, you have to prove it, which means you have to do all the heavy lifting. Hire the lawyer, you go to court, all of that. Thousands of dollars, that's what we're talking about here. Thousands and thousands. Lawyers will stretch it out. And they will charge you every time they pick up a pencil. You want the state to carry the burden. That's why you use the Constitution.
Thank you so much, sir.
All right, ma'am.
Wow.
Okay, I'm going to have to sign off now, because I have to go somewhere.
Thank you so much for sharing some of your views with us, Mr. Fuller. Really appreciate you taking some time out of your Sunday morning.
Well, there's no problem there. And like I said, the lady can call me any time she thinks she can get me. I mean, any question that comes up that she think I might have an idea that might help. But at this point, that's about all I have right now. I know it doesn't sound like much, but it's all I got.
No, very helpful, sir. Thank you so much.
All right, now. Good morning.
Have a great day.
Take care, Mr. Fuller. Wow. Very interesting. It'll be in the archives and recorded, so if you missed anything or you need to take any notes, you can just download the program and catch the archives. Yeah, that should be a benefit to listeners too, because he said before I think before I got the line switched over, he was saying he wouldn't go the racism route in attacking it that way, because he said white people would be prepared for that. So yeah, real interesting. Definitely something to think on. Is there anything else you wanted to get out, BMore?
No, I thank you very much, Gus, and I'm glad that he did mention that, because I had already filed with the EEOC, but I guess I won't be following up as far as racial discrimination. I'll just go to justice route.
Right on. Let us know. We can be of help. I can also get in touch with Mr. Williams, because someone had suggested Mr. Williams as well, and I think he also has a lot of pretty solid views on how to go about dealing with racism in the workplace, and he's done stuff with Mr. Fuller on that as well, so we can see what his views on it might be. He might have some additional suggestions as well if you'd be interested in hearing what he has to say.
I'm open to anything, Gus. Anything.
Right on. I'll shoot him an email, or I'll get in touch with him today, and yeah, I'll pick out some dates and times. I'll let you know, and yeah, we'll see if we can make it happen.
Thank you so much. Good day, sir.
For sure. Take care. Thanks, folks, listening in. Hope it was constructive. We'll get it uploaded, and y'all can download, share with other folks. I do want to make sure this is time stamped. It is currently 7:43 a.m. Pacific. Program went live a little after 7 a.m. White people stay on their grind, abusing and terrorizing non-white people. I think this time last week, the white man was shooting up the church out on the East Coast. Non-white people stay on your grind. 7 a.m. countering racism, or at least making the effort to try to do so. We'll be back on Wednesday. Context of White Supremacy signing out. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.